Good morning. I want to thank everybody for attending the planning board meeting that was scheduled for October 1st of 2012 this morning, and look forward to hearing from you a little later on during the agenda. Has everyone on the board had a chance to look at the agenda? Do we have any changes or recommendations other than that's stated on our agenda for today? If not, do I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Move to approve.
I second.
We have a second by Mr. Young. Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of approving the agenda as presented, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Have you had a chance to look at the minutes from our last meeting, which was held on September 10th, 2012? Are there any corrections there too, or additions, deletions? Okay, hearing none, someone like to move to approve the minutes from our September 10th, 2012 meeting?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Mr. Kessel made a motion to approve.
I second.
Second by Mr. Sales. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. 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 All opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is a series of public hearings. It's my understanding, Josh, I think that we need to do these separate. Is that correct? Okay. Okay.
We'll do one for those proposed to be public service, another for those to be EMP, and another for the one to be zoned RLD. And we would need separate statements of consistency and recommendations on those three.
Okay, all right. The zoning map amendments that we're going to discuss this morning and hear your comments on are all related to the airport, Asheville, regional Asheville Airport, and some surrounding properties. And some of those properties are currently not zoned. And we've been mandated by the General Assembly down in Raleigh to zone them. And there's some outlying peripheral properties that need to be rezoned to an appropriate classification, this type of thing. So we're going to take them one at a time. And the first one, and I'll just read it, it's to rezone tax lot with PIN numbers 9643, 38, 8413. It's at the corner, I think, of Penner Road East of the intersection with Wright Brothers Way. Next lot is 9643, 48, 6540, and that's Penner Road West intersection with Hidden Creek Road. Next being 9643, 28, 5196, and that's east of 74 Penner Road. 9643, 270951, and that's 74 Penner Road. And the next is 9643, 370462, and Penner Road southwest of Wright Brothers Way. Next is 9643, 38, 0006, which is also known as east of 70 Penner Road. Next is 9643, 362924, and that's at Riverview Drive east of 78 Penner Road. And lastly is 9643, 276465, south of 70 Penner Road, and they're currently zoned low-density residential, which we also call R-LD, the intent is to reclassify those as public service. Anything you'd like to present, staff?
I would also say that under number 4, public hearings, I, and III, those are all three proposed to be zoned PS, public service. They're all publicly owned properties, so we would want to take those all
collectively
together.
Okay, that's good. That'll help
and
speed
that,
things up.
That is a result of the session law, which took zoning authority away from the city of Asheville and has given it to the county. And as I said, they're all Airport Authority and WNC Ag properties.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that? I think that's a good idea. Let's take those three collectively because we are recommended that they all be rezoned to PS. I guess the first thing we need to do is open the public comment period to those that might wish to comment either opposed or against. Let us know your thoughts, and after which we'll have discussions. We may have some questions for staff as well as you. And at the end of the public hearing, we will close the public hearing session, and then we'll vote as to whether to rezone these properties or not. We hadn't done this in a long time because we hadn't met very frequently this year. There hadn't been much to meet on. But the rules are this. When you come up, please come up to the front to speak into the microphone. You might, the first person up, if you don't mind, check it and test it and make sure the mic works. Speak into the microphone, state your name and where you're from and what part of the county you live in. That's general enough. That's fine. And you've got 3 minutes. And if you start going over 3 minutes, I'll let you know. But if you keep it 3 minutes, I'd appreciate it. Who would like to be first? Again, this has to do with the public hearing related to the rezoning of property at the Asheville Airport. Do we have any takers? Good.
My name is Kathy O'Brien. I live in Otine. The mic seems to be working.
Yeah.
I just have a question out of curiosity. What does public service zoning mean for the land? How will it be used?
I'm going to turn that over to staff, but it's fairly broad classification, and
Can I go back to my chair now?
no, you go ahead and stay in your seat if you don't mind, and Debbie, if you don't mind, jump in.
It is a broad classification. It allows a lot of uses that, and they're associated in this case with the Airport Authority and with the Western North Carolina Ag Center. It's a district that's intended to be for large institutional and governmental uses.
Mm-hmm. Is that specific enough for you? If not, I mean, really just ask. That's what we're here for.
And we can certainly show you the zoning ordinance, or you could go on and look at it online and look at it later. But
Okay.
I couldn't go down through all the permitted uses at this
I
moment.
won't waste your time out of curiosity.
Okay, that's fine. Anybody else? Nobody else related to the rezoning of these three clusters, for the lack of a better term, that are proposed to be rezoned to public service? Well, seeing no interest, then I'll move that the session be closed. That will close the public hearing session related to the rezoning of those properties that were previously mentioned to public service. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
I got one. I'm not very familiar with the property out there,
Yeah.
other than one piece. Maybe somebody can bring me up to speed. There's an area between New Airport Road and I-26 at Electrolux, and it was my understanding that there was something happened there as far as property lines. Has that went away?
Hang on.
I think you
I think I
probably
know
what I'm talking about.
I think I know what you're talking about. Hang on just a second. See if I can answer the question.
If you look at the aerial, I think you can see it best.
The aerial.
Yeah, aren't they expanding?
Well, they proposed to. Now,
This one?
I just don't know what the current status of that
did you
is.
look at, Jim, have you looked at that particular map right there? Now, that one, it is, the land that you're talking about, I think, is proposed, it's that strip, again, between the Airport Road and the Electrolux plant, is proposed to be rezoned public service. Now, what you...
That's,
Tom, can you show us which map you're looking at?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you see, or do I need to step down?
Point to it.
that building will go in there.
Point to it, how am I going to do that? Here you go.
Okay.
I'm joking. Can you see where my finger is, kind of? It's at the corner of Fanning Bridge Road and Airport Road, across from the main entrance to the airport.
There,
Sure. Well-
there was and may still be a proposed expansion to that building that would encroach on that property.
Yeah.
From what I know.
That is publicly owned property.
Okay, so
So-
that doesn't,
Oh, it
that
is?
doesn't have anything to do with zoning, whether that ever gets built or not.
Well, the bill took zoning authority away from the city and gave it to the county for those publicly owned properties. So being that, the most appropriate zoning we felt would be public service.
I think what Jim and I are familiar with this a little bit.
Yeah.
I think what Jim's up to is Electrolux has proposed an expansion. It's potentially they may expand their plant considerably out there, and a lot of it goes in the direction of Airport Road. It's coming out through the trees and that type of thing. And I guess the question is, and I'm not sure we can answer it, is would this property have to be rezoned from PS to something else in the event, to accommodate their expansion in the event they wanted to expand? But again, I don't know who controls the property, but I think we got somebody that can answer that. Do you mind coming up?
I just didn't know if it had already been some kind of transfer or.
I don't have a clue. And these maps would have preceded the transfer, I think, if there was a transfer. Thank you. Shed a little light on this.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Lou Belaiwais. I'm the Executive Director of the Asheville Regional Airport Authority. The property that you did point to is owned by the Airport Authority at this point. It's approximately 13 acres. We have been in negotiations with Electrolux to expand their plant. They were looking at purchasing around 10 acres of that 13 acres. It has been rezoned under the city guidelines at this point to accommodate the expansion of the Electrolux plant. We received word, I want to say a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, that Electrolux has put their expansion plans on hold. They will not be expanding anytime soon. So that property is not going to be sold or put into use anytime soon other than for airport use.
Okay, Lou, I appreciate that.
No problem.
That clears it up for
Yeah.
me. Thank you very much. Okay, any other comments about the proposed rezoning of these properties to PS? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make
Could we have
Yeah.
a statement of consistency first?
Yeah.
where is this
Bernie?
thing? Oh, okay, I reckon I
All right,
opened my
hang on.
mouth too
Let me
soon.
make sure we've got the right one.
Here it is.
It's got to be the most
Here it is.
cumbersome. Is that the one? Wait a minute. Yeah, that's the one.
The one on the back.
The most lengthy one, yeah.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the zoning changes consistent with the Buncombe County Comprehensive Land Use Plan and updates as the 2006 Buncombe County Comprehensive Land Use Plan update suggests the implementation of a zoning district with flexibility for industrial uses, and the public service district is a zoning district use to facilitate the development of institutional uses on public property. The zoning change is reasonable and is in the public interest as the property is under the ownership of the city of Asheville, the state of North Carolina, and the Asheville Regional Airport. The property comprises the Western North Carolina Agricultural Center and Fairgrounds and property affiliated with the Asheville Regional Airport. A portion of the property in question is not currently zoned and is located in the jurisdiction of Buncombe County due to the direction of the NC General Assembly Session Law 2012-121 and a portion of the property in question is not appropriately zoned as is currently zoned for residential instead of public use.
And that's
Okay,
for all items indicated on the agenda 4A, I, 2I, and 3I.
This is for all the public, the items under 4A, including I, II, and III.
Okay.
And I4.
That's a
and
separate.
5.
No, no, just
No, no, no,
separate.
That's a separate, we're gonna do that in a minute,
Okay.
okay. All right, is that cumbersome enough? Okay, Bernie says he's gonna abstain from making any more motions as a result of that, actually, whispered in my ear. All right, we've got a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we've got us a second, any further discussion? Okay, haven't heard none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no, motion carries. Okay, the next item on our agenda is also related to rezoning, a property in the same area. And and I'll read it, but this property relates to property that is currently not zoned at all and is proposed to be rezoned as employment district, or as we call it, EMP. And that is the properties as follow. It would incorporate tax lot PIN numbers 9643, 81765, which is also known as Underwood Road north of the intersection with Piney Drive, 9643, 819653, also known as Underwood Road north of the intersection with Piney Drive, 9643, 817692, also known as 93 Underwood Road, 9643, 816275, that's Underwood Road north of the intersection with Fanning Bridge Road, 9643, 807599, that's also known as 1291 Fanning Bridge Road, and then 9643, 81903, which is also known as 29 Norman Road, 9643, 819433, which is also known as Underwood Road south of the intersection with Piney Drive, 9643, 826152, also known as 99 Underwood Road, 9643, 815686, which is also known as 95 Underwood Road, and 9643, 819219, also known as 92 Underwood Road. And again, these properties are currently not zoned into the official zoning map of Buncombe County, and it's proposed that they be zoned to employment, or EMP as we call it, district. I'll go ahead and open the public. Do you have a comment?
I'd just like to
Please,
say
yeah.
that these were not zoned when we were directed by the commissioners to do countywide zoning, because you have to have at least 1 square mile of property that's zoned, and these were not adjacent to any county zoning and not 1 square mile, so we were not able statutorily to zone them. Now that we've got the larger area to zone, it is the appropriate time to put them into county zoning as they are in our jurisdiction.
Okay.
Just a note for the audience, EMP is a district that allows for a variety of commercial and industrial uses.
Thank you, Josh. Okay, I'll go ahead and open up the public comment period. Again, same rules apply that I stated a minute ago. Does anyone have any comments that they would like to make to us within 3 minutes related to rezoning these properties to EMP? Please.
My name is Bob Davey. I live in Fletcher. I just got a couple questions. I noticed one of the parcels that you're talking about changing the zoning to employment is actually part of a residential property. Does that make sense to do that?
Which?
It's the little point that's on the right of Rockwood Road. The very
Triangle?
Yeah.
Sharp triangle?
yeah.
I'll let staff address that. I'm not. I've driven by it, I know where it is, but I didn't know how it was zoned.
And while they're looking at that, I was just kind of curious as to why that other piece of property looks like it's been excluded from the whole process.
Good question.
The first piece of property that's been excluded, I'm assuming is the one along I-26 there.
Right.
That one's actually zoned by the city of Asheville, and we're not able to zone that one. They still retain jurisdiction over that, even in the light of the session law. The properties along Underwood Road, especially those slivers, are all owned by one interest, including the road out there. So EMP allows them some ability to reconfigure the property as necessary. It would still allow for a variety of residential uses by right, but it also allows us to avoid any issues with spot type zoning where it's inconsistent with our surrounding zoning. And that was the rationale behind zoning.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anyone else? Okay, it appears that no one else would like to comment about this proposed rezoning, so I'll go ahead and close the public comment session. Any questions amongst board members? Clarifications needed or anything? Okay, hearing none, who's got the nerve to make a motion?
All right,
We're collaborating.
I'll go for it.
Thank you, Catherine.
You're welcome. The zoning changes are consistent with the Buncombe County Comprehensive Land Use Plan and updates as the 2006 Buncombe County Comprehensive Land Use Plan update describes the EMP district as, quote, intended to provide appropriately located sites for employment concentrations, primarily for office-type uses, industrial uses, storage and warehousing, and wholesale trade. Sorry, lost my spot. This EMP district includes existing industrial and office areas and sites suited for future development, end quote. The zoning change is reasonable and in the public interest as the property is not currently zoned and is located in the jurisdiction of Buncombe County and is located in a mixed-use area within close proximity to I-26 and the Asheville Regional Airport. Did I read the right one?
Yes, you did.
Excellent.
Yeah,
It's
I
number
know.
4?
Yeah.
No, number 4. Sorry,
On the agenda?
on the agenda.
Yeah.
I guess I should have started with that one.
4A4. 4A4.
4, yeah, right.
Okay, we
There,
got it.
I've done it.
Yay.
Are we legal? Okay, we're legal. All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second for Mr. Holmes. All right, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Okey-doke. One more related to the rezoning of properties adjacent to the airport. And that has to do with a property, one single property, that is not currently zoned, and it's recommended to be rezoned, or be zoned, not rezoned, to low-density residential, also known as R-LD. The adjoining properties are zoned consistent with that. They're residentially zoned as well. So it was apparently something, I'll let you step up and explain it, Debbie, that had been omitted in the past.
It
Maybe
was
for the same reason as you stated on the last.
not for the same reason
Okay.
as I stated on the last set, that this was, it was an oversight. It just did not get zoned during limestone zoning, and we discovered it as we were doing the rest of our research on this.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll go ahead and open the public hearing portion of this meeting related to the rezoning of this property. Same rules apply as I stated earlier. Does anyone have any comments? Okay, looks like we don't have any comments, so we'll go ahead and close the public hearing portion of this rezoning item on our agenda. Once again, oh, good. Can I have a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve its A5, changing the zoning map to be zoned to LDR. The zoning change is consistent with the Buncombe County Comprehensive Land Use Plan and updates as the 2006 Buncombe County Comprehensive Land Use Plan update describes the RLD district as intended to provide locations for low-density residential related type development in areas where topography and other constraints preclude intense urban development, and the ones around it are zoned the same. Is that correct? The zoning change is reasonable in the public interest as the property is not currently zoned, is located in jurisdiction of Buncombe County, and is located within an existing residential subdivision which is currently zoned low-density residential RLD.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Ms. Martin.
Me.
Okay, thank you very much. Any further discussion related to the zoning of this individual piece of property to RLD? Okay, hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the proposed rezoning of the property, and Jesse Gardner's here to represent the applicant. And they have applied to rezone tax lot pin number 9688084768, which is located north of U.S. Highway 70 between Roland Road and Rieger, I guess I pronounced that right, Rieger Avenue, which is currently zoned single-family residential district R1. They'd like to see it rezoned to Neighborhood Service District NS. The property is located on US 70 near the intersection, westernmost intersection of Buckeye Cove Road and US 70 over towards Swannanoa. So staff, I guess if you'd go first.
Yes, sir. This is a 1.5 acre parcel, and the surrounding area is a mixture of uses. The south side of US 70 is comprised of industrial and commercial development, zoned CS and EMP, and commercial uses lie to the west of this property, and the property is adjacent to neighborhood service on the east. It would be consistent with the land use plan update, as the update indicates that NS is designed to allow for a mix of residential, commercial, business, and service uses in limited areas at key intersections leading to residential developments, residential neighborhoods. It would be consistent with the property zoned around it, that is NS to the east and commercial to the west and south, and the planning department recommends approval.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we've had a couple properties that are located, I'm going to say within a half a mile of this, certainly within a mile of this on 70, that we've rezoned consistent with this application in the last year. I believe that's correct. You may not remember. I know one of them's near the Shell station down near Warren Wilson College Road.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's been within a year, but there were two properties there.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Gardner, would you like to come forward and present your case? Again, identify yourself and let us know what you'd like to see happen.
Sure. My name is Jesse Gardner. I'm an engineer with Civil Design Concepts. I'm representing Tom Morgan, who's the current property owner. Tom is the owner of Mountain Energy Corporation. He develops primarily convenience stores, some fast food retails, car washes, things of that sort. We submitted this property for a rezone because, as you guys are aware, US 70 is a commercial business corridor linking Asheville to town of Black Mountain, Swannanoa area. We have no vision for this property right now. He's just looking to market it. He may develop it himself. Easily could see something as a Family Dollar, a dollar store, a C-store, a car wash, standalone car wash, laundromat, with various options, and we just felt the neighborhood service fit best with proposed uses and also with the neighborhood there currently. So.
Okay, appreciate it. Anybody have any questions of Mr. Gardner? Okay, thank you, Jesse. All right, I'll move forward and we'll open the public hearing comment period for this rezoning and see if someone would like to come up and speak. Again, please identify yourself, and we've got 3 minutes.
My name is Billy Banks, and I've been a resident of the Sherwood Forest community for 17 years now. Upon learning of this rezoning request, the 70-plus homes that live in the Sherwood Forest community have decided to come together and ask this planning board to deny this request. We started a petition, and of the 51 homes that we were able to visit, we had 100% signage of this petition, and I'll read for you now our petition. As the residents of the Sherwood Forest community, we feel that the rezoning of the lot PN 9688084768 north of US 70 Highway between Roland Road and Rieger Avenue, also known as the dirt track to the Sherwood Forest community, would place a large burden on the neighborhood. Under the Neighborhood Service District NS definition, we as a community feel that the rezoning would add traffic congestion to our neighborhood. The community is already impacted twice daily by the traffic from Art Space Charter School. Some 386 students and 70 staff pass through our neighborhood twice a day. Now, at this present time, we have 70 homes in the neighborhood. We also have a mobile home park that has 21 residents. At this point, that accompanies almost 91 people that access the neighborhood using Roland and Rieger. And at this point, that's, just throwing out an average number of 2 cars. That's 182 cars just from the neighborhood residents ourselves. And then at this point, with the addition of art space traffic. Now, at this point, I've been unable to find any forcible reason why art space comes through our neighborhood other than just for safety. I mean, to have that many students trying to access the school lining up on Highway 70 would add tremendous congestion on Highway 70. So it's quite obvious that the safest route is to come through Roland and Rieger. So twice a day, I actually live on Sherwood Road, and that is the road that the art space is on. So every day, traffic backs up well past my house as they go to pick up and drop off. We feel as a community, 70, I have the petitions here, and I do have copies that I'll be more than happy to give to everyone that has everyone's signature on it, that we feel at this point we are doing enough as a community to accommodate art space. And we feel like any additional business is going to end up with additional traffic in our neighborhood. And we feel at this point that we're just doing our fair share.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Excuse me, do you have a question for him?
Yeah, I would like to ask a question or two. If you don't mind, I've got the Sherwood Forest community would be Roland, Rieger Avenue, and then Sherwood, kind of back behind this property.
Back
Is that
behind,
correct? Are there any stoplights on 70 there?
There's a stoplight at Roland
Okay.
in 70, and then there's a stoplight at Buckeye Cove in 70.
Okay. Yeah.
But as we have come to learn that at this point, once this property is rezoned, there is nothing that will stop the developer and or the owner at that time from having entrances or exits onto Roland or Rieger. And so that is our primary concern. Now, looking at the matter, if they bypassed those two roads and only entered and exit on Highway 70, I don't see logically how that could be done and it not create traffic congestion just on 70. Because even if they lined up with the red light on Buckeye Cove, if they were traveling west towards Asheville, they would turn right and then in 30 feet would have to stop again for the red light that was at Roland and 70. So I'm not sure how the traffic plan, other than letting them dump into Roland and Rieger, would work.
Okay, anything else? Okay, thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Do we have anyone else that'd like to speak regarding this rezoning request? Okay. Apparently not. So I'll go ahead and close the public comment session of this process for the rezoning of this property. Any questions or comments amongst the board? I'll make a few. Looking at the map, if you'll take a look, the majority of the property along the corridor is currently zoned public service or commercial. There's a few isolated pieces that are still zoned residential, which I suspect over time that'll change, but they literally are isolated. Everything else is primarily commercial. Again, with this piece over at Warren Wilson and 70, that's well, it's vacant land is what it says, but it's not zoned residential. So anyway, having said that.
Tommy, I realize he's got traffic concerns, and that's legitimate, but is that not really beyond their purview of that's really a DOT issue that should be taken into consideration at that point and not in this forum? Is
That's correct. Yeah, that's we've we over the years we've been on this board together for a while now. In the event the property is rezoned and development was to take place, they'll have to get with the DOT and determine where driveways will be permitted, whether it be on Roland or Rieger or US 70 and this type of thing. Signalization may have to be altered to accommodate it. Who knows? That's down the road, downstream. But that's literally beyond our purview as far as I know.
You would consider the allowed uses in NS and how they are consistent in the community as a whole.
Yeah. Sounds like the big problems with the charter school traffic coming through there at the time being.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we got.
NS doesn't impact as much as, let's say, can you be a little broader on that, Josh? You kind of stated that, but.
It is intended for a smaller scale commercial kind of use that's more neighborhood consistent. It's commercial, but not as impactful as commercial service.
And I will note that there was some discussion with the applicant of the merits of CS versus NS, and they elected to go with NS because of the more contextual feel of it.
lower impact?
It is compared to CS.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Any other?
Vacant lot right now, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Any further questions of staff amongst ourselves? Any further discussion? Okay, the chair would entertain a motion to either approve or deny the applicant's request.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Excuse me. The requested zoning is consistent with the Buncombe Community Comprehensive Land Use Plan, as the 2006 Buncombe County Comprehensive Land Use Plan update indicates that NS is designed to allow for a mix of residential, commercial, business, and service uses in limited areas at key intersections leading to residential neighborhoods. VII-4. The requested zoning would be reasonable in the public interest, as it would allow for commercial business in an area that allows a wide variety of commercial uses.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the applicant's request. Do we have a second?
Second.
Who was the second? Mr. Josh made the second, okay. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of the motion as presented, that is to approve the applicant's request, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Say
Me,
no.
opposed.
Okay, we've got one opposed and the rest ayes. Motion is approved. Thank you. Okay, the next rezoning request is that of Ms. Jeanette Bowling, has applied to rezone 4/10 of an acre. And it's a portion of tax lot pin number 9689381040. It's located at 300 Bowling Country Road, which is currently zoned low-density residential district, that is R/LD. And she'd like to rezone this to single-family residential district R1. So, staff, I'll let you go first, please.
This is a portion of a large parcel. The requested rezoning is of approximately 0.4 acres to R1. It is near the end of Sunset Drive within the Beechy Forest subdivision, and it is currently vacant. The requested zoning would be consistent with the Buncombe County Land Use Plan, as this property is as the plan indicates, that RLD is intended to provide locations for low-density residential and related type development in areas where topographic or other constraints preclude intense urban development. And this area is not an environmentally sensitive area, and in fact was at one point intended to be part of that subdivision. It would not be detrimental it would not be detrimental to the owner, adjacent neighbors, and the existing subdivision, and the planning department recommends approval.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll go ahead and open up the public comment period for this requested rezoning as well. So if you'd come forward and state your name and where you're from, I'd appreciate it.
Good morning. I am Jeanette Bowling, and I live in Swannanoa. And this particular lot you have in front of you, I'm sure, but it is a part of a section which is known as Section 4 of Beechy Forest, and it is 7 lots. All of the lots have been sold, and there are 4 houses in that particular area at this time. And this lot is the last lot of Section 4. And the reason that it is needing to be rezoned, I do need to sell that little piece of property so that it can be used, and it needs to be rezoned.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Anyone have any questions of Jeanette?
Yeah, are there public utilities there, or is just well and septic?
There are. I also have a drawing which was made by Roger Lida back in 1980.
Oh, yeah.
When my husband was the builder. He's now deceased. And if you would care to see this, it shows the whole section and where the utilities run.
I appreciate it. We've got a map up here, an aerial that the staff provided us that shows lot by lot. It's very similar to that, but I appreciate it, yeah. I'm familiar with the property.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Would anyone else like to speak? Either for or against related to this rezoning request? Okay, appears not, so we'll go ahead and close the public hearing portion of this process for the requested rezoning by Ms. Bowling. Any questions amongst us? Comments? Do I have a motion to either approve or deny the applicant's request?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the request. I find it is consistent to the Buncombe County Comprehensive Land Use Plan. Indicates that, am I reading the right one? RLD? Yeah.
Yeah.
RLD, low-density residential districts primarily intended to provide locations for low-density residential related type of development in areas where topography or other constraints preclude intense urban development. See update 7.3. As an area the applicant is requested to be rezoned is not environmentally sensitive area or one that would preclude the inclusion into B-tree forest subdivision, the proposed zoning would be consistent with the Buncombe County Land Comprehensive Land Use Plan, and the requested zoning would not be reasonable or in the public interest. Would be reasonable or in the public interest, as it would not be detrimental to the owner, I'm hurrying, adjacent neighbors, and the assisting subdivision.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you very much. All right, the next application for rezoning is that of Mr. Carl Ricker, and he's applied to rezone tax lot pin number 9668768496. It's located at the east of Lower Grassy Branch Road between Tunnel Road and Thomas Lee Drive. It's currently zoned R3, and he would like to request that it be rezoned to commercial service. Staff, please.
This property is 3.32 acres and is currently vacant. The surrounding area is comprised of a mix of uses, including mobile home parks, residential apartment building, and commercial uses along Tunnel Road. The commercial uses along Tunnel Road are currently in the city of Asheville and zoned highway business. This requested zoning would be consistent with the Buncombe County Land Use Plan update, as it indicates that CS is primarily intended to provide suitable locations for clustered commercial development to encourage concentration of commercial activities in those specified areas with access to major traffic arterials. It would be consistent with the property along the Tunnel Road zoned highway business and is along a major traffic arterial. So the Planning Department recommends approval of the rezoning request. And the Planning Department has received one letter concerning this. If you'd
Do you
like
want to
read
do that now or wait till the public comment period? Either way, to make a difference. Go ahead if you're ready.
Okay. This is from Nancy Rogers, and she states, I have thought about this all weekend and have decided that my one voice is not enough to sway all the county commissioners or whoever will be hearing these issues on Monday. I appreciate you offering to read my statement before the board, and of course you may read any of this if you think it pertinent. That one man may sway the board to change the zoning of a plot of land so that he may benefit money-wise without the concern of effect to nearby neighbors is outrageous to me. Personally, I moved to this neighborhood for some peace and quiet, and now that is threatened because someone finds it necessary to build a business in my backyard, a business that could be anything from a convenience store to a bar. The point is that any business will generate noise, trash, traffic, and who knows what else. This is what happened where I lived last, over on Wood Avenue. At first, you could barely see the mall lights in winter. Then came all the Lowe's stuff. Then the stores spread across the street, and the Target shopping area was born, but even that wasn't enough. Finally, the Walmart complex became a reality, and in the process of blowing up the old bleachery, my house suffered broken and cracked windows and was invaded by rats, which no one was willing to take responsibility for. I don't expect that kind of trouble here, but just the same, I do not like the idea of something similar to Wood Avenue happening here at Thomas Lee either. I like it here, the quiet, the birds, and all the other animals. What will this new business, not to mention all the months of dirty construction, do to our peaceful neighborhood? If I could vote, it would be a resounding no.
Okay, thank you very much. One thing that I think I'm correct in pointing out, if you look at your mapping we've been given on the aerial, where the green, Michelle, it's the one you're looking at. The city limits line is literally that line, yeah, that runs through the property. In other words, it's split by
Is it two
coincidence.
parcels or is it one parcel?
Well, I'll let Mr. Ricker come up and present his case. Maybe he can tell us that. But it's ironically, the city limits runs right through this property that's been developed over a long period of time, obviously, when you ride by there. Okay, Mr. Ricker, if you'd come up and introduce yourself, I'd appreciate it.
I'm Carl Ricker. Certainly appreciate the opportunity to see here today. This piece of property is actually 10 acres. And for some unknown reason, when the city decided to draw the city limits, the line runs right through the middle of my property. And just for a little history, I own almost all the property already surrounding that. I own, which is all highway commercial. If you'll look at the, let's see, get around here. I own tax lot 3941, which is got a single residence on it, but it's zoned city highway commercial. For some reason, the city limits also goes up through there next, sort of at a bend. I own tax lot 2787, which is my office, and that's also highway commercial. I own tax lot 8150, which is highway commercial. The little lot over on the corner directly across, or it's actually a part of 8150, is also zoned highway commercial. And tax lot 7737, even though it's zoned residential, is a dry kiln and a lumber yard. And I'm the young lady that wrote in, I certainly, anyone that's ever, one reason there's sidewalks from the city is I've been trying to get those out there for about the last 20 years. I first talked to Lenny Sidney, and I was raised and born within 2 miles of this location, and would certainly request that the front and the back part of this property be the same. It's all one deed. In other words, it was all bought as one property.
Okay.
And if anyone's got any questions, I'll be glad to try to answer them.
Anyone got any questions? Am I right about the city limit line kind of splitting it?
That is correct.
Pretty close.
And I honestly did not know that the back part was not zoned commercial service. That was my understanding.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Ricker.
And by the way, I went in business there in the car business and RV business in 1967 on April the 1st when I got out of service. So I've been there quite a while in business. Thank you.
Okay, come forward, please.
Good morning. My name is Colin O'Brien. I live at 15 Thomas Lee Drive, and I would be the immediate neighbor on the back end of that lot. I'm sort of looking down onto that lot. And I don't necessarily oppose the change. I'm more or less curious as to what Mr. Ricker's plans are for the property. I don't oppose a person's use of his own land, and I know he's developed a lot of land in that area. I'm just a little concerned about how steep that lot is. If you look right immediately as my backyard exits onto that property, is very steep. And then also to the east, it's very steep as it heads up to that trailer park up there. And I'm fairly confident, if I understand correctly, that he's trying to unify that property so that it can be developed as all one piece of property and not have two different zoning applied to it. So I'm just concerned about what my neighbor will develop it into. If he could answer that would be great. And I'm just a little concerned about it being so close to that very steep angled slope on both sides and the stream on the other side.
Okay. Yeah, I think your presumption's correct, that he's trying to get it zoned uniformly.
Yes.
But anyway, do you mind, Mr. Ricker, addressing his?
And if I could add one thing.
Yeah, sure.
My neighbor who sent in the letter, I appreciate her concerns. We do have that sawmill immediately at the bottom of the Thomas Lee Drive. They do make some noise. They've made efforts to reduce the noise, and they're great neighbors. We love them. And I think anything developed on this piece of property that we're talking about is over the hill from her property. Mm-hmm. And unless it were something very loud, I doubt that she would hear it or smell it or see it.
Okay, thanks a lot for your comment. And Mr. Ricker wanted to address what you had to say, I believe.
As far as the use, of course, when we did the grading plan, we had to submit a grading plan, and that's on a 1-to-1. And as I'm sure the gentleman will notice, we have let pine trees, and we've buffered as best we can all that area back there, and we've made sure we hadn't cut any of that growth off. On the back side, of course, we did that per when we did the excavation, which by the way has been years ago. It's not anything that's happened soon. What I'm going to build on it is the same thing. I've done a lot of development all over town. In fact, I got several years back, unbeknownst to me, I got recommended as an award for the best development as far as energy conservation and other things, and I received that award from Quality Forward, I guess 15 years ago or so. But I live here and work here, and of course want to be a good neighbor. I don't. As far as what's going to go on, it's in today's climate something that will produce jobs, make sense, and you can borrow the money to do. I mean, it's just really hard. And have something that produces property taxes.
Kind of hard to say, isn't it?
It is.
Right now. Yeah.
Any other questions, I'll be glad to try to answer it.
I have a question. How steep is that? It's not a
1-to-1.
I'm sorry?
It's a 1-to-1 slope.
Okay.
But that's your cut slope or the whole property?
No, just the cut slope's 1-to-1.
Property's flat, other than the slope and the cut slope in the back, yeah, relatively flat.
Mm-hmm.
How the property that's in the portion of the property that's in the city of Asheville, it's zoned
highway commercial.
So this would be comparable to that, so that you could.
And it's all under 1D. It's not actually two
Right.
pieces of property. That's how the city ever chose their city limits. Yeah, it's just real unusual to have 1 foot. You're basically standing on your property, and 1 foot's in the county, and 1's in the city.
Yeah. Okay.
I just have, not for Mr. Ricker, but
Oh,
for
okay.
staff.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ricker.
Let me ask one question
Okay.
for you, Lee.
Yes, sir.
With what we're looking at right here, where the sawmill's at, is that all part of this parcel and it's actually cut in two?
No, it
Okay,
is
so
not.
that is
I've
separate.
never owned that piece of property.
Okay.
And my understanding is the sawmill also is owned residential.
Yeah, I think that's right.
It was very surprising to me when this all came up.
That is surprising. All right, thank you. Yeah, would you like to come forward?
Do I need to reintroduce myself?
If you don't mind.
I'm Kathy O'Brien. I also live at 15 Thomas Lee Drive. Mr. Ricker, thank you for answering questions. We really appreciate that. My question, I really have no idea how sensible this is, but traffic-wise, Lower Grassy is small, tightly curved, and fairly dangerous in that section. In this property, if it's rezoned to be one consistent, it seems to be y'all's impetus, You have frontage on Highway 70, and you also have frontage onto Lower Grassy. Would you be using both of those entrances?
Do you want me to address that from here? Or you want me to come back up?
Come back up so it'll be part of the record if you don't mind, only because we're being videoed.
Okay.
Yeah.
I really would probably, there would be some people that would come on from Grassy Branch Road, primary entrance. There would, anything we did, we probably could get 2 good entrances off US 70. That would be the primary entrance, and everything would front pretty well on US 70. There are naturally people, Exton would go down that short section, but I own all the property. There's no residential that comes on that road on any part of that all the way down to where you turn up where the sawmill is.
The concern for the neighborhood really seems to be how much traffic would impact our little bitty section, and to hear that it would be possible and beneficial to have entrance and egress onto the highway instead of onto Lower Grassy is a relief.
Okay.
Frankly.
Yeah, our primary entrances would be on US 70. Of course, you can't control where people are going to exit or enter. I've always found that most of my tenants complain about not having enough parking around their doors, and when I go out there, they're usually the ones that's parked next to the door. So I asked, whose car that is that? And they said, well, that just happens to be mine. Yes, they don't have enough parking, but my desire would be that most of the, and I'd have to work with the DOT on the entrances as we go forward.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there a stoplight at Azalea Road?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Let me
Okay.
ask one question as well. Just
Thank you,
looking at
Kathy.
the topography, it looks like the back portion of the property around the residential is substantially higher than what you graded
That
off.
is correct.
And then there seems to be a buffer there between there and Lower Grassy Creek Road. And with the topography, it looks like you would be somewhat limited. You actually got, looks like a kind of a temporary road cut in right, coming out right there at the light.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, appears to me you'd be so, really limited to bring in, even if you did come off of.
You're going to have to, everything, Mr. Young, is going to have to be laid out, basically. Any good site planner, any good designer is going to design it to where most of the parking and traffic is going to be in front.
Correct.
That's just the nature of.
I'm just making sure I understand topography, because it looks to me like if you did access or exit onto Lower Grassy Creek, it would be somewhere close to the red light, just because of the
It would
topography.
be right at the red light. And we've also worked with FEMA about 8 or 9 years ago in building rock walls down through there for the creek in case of flooding or erosion. We put some pretty darn huge boulders and built a wall down there to keep erosion out. Yeah. And that was under the guidance of FEMA.
Okay, any more questions for Mr. Ricker? Okay, thank you, Carl. Any other comment related to this application for rezoning?
I just have, for staff, just to clarify for me, if they build within that floodplain area, they're going to be subject to development laws that would make sure to be sensitive to those areas. Is that correct?
We
Because there
do
was a
have
concern about the creeks.
We do have an ordinance, and they would have to follow all the regulations for development in the floodplain.
Okay, and I mean, this is kind of, we had 2 today. Anyone who's building, we have buffers built in where you have a commercial that, what are the buffers, or explain that, between a commercial and residential that would, someone would, no matter what they build, be required to have?
Any commercial development that is adjacent to residential development is required to have a buffer there of, it's a 20-foot vegetative buffer or a fence and it's the zoning administrator can allow them to do a fence rather than the vegetative buffering.
But we have that built in.
That
So
is
if we
part
don't
of
even
the
know what they're
zoning
building,
ordinance.
that's in the, and then
Yeah.
the last thing is, when anyone is coming to look to use commercial space, they do have to approach DOT, and they do evaluate the traffic as it stands on the ground and the impacts of the new development on the surrounding neighborhoods before they give an approval. Is that correct?
They do have to apply for a driveway permit, and DOT does look at all the traffic around, and sometimes they put conditions, sometimes they require turn lane, stoplight. They do evaluate it.
And anytime they're going to have something new built there, possibly the residents would maybe have a chance to have input at that time. Is that correct? Would they be?
Don't know about the process
Okay.
with DOT.
But it is something they look at. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other questions of staff or internally? Amongst us, comments?
I would just, I understand her concerns about traffic, and I think that's natural. But I think we would all agree, we all flow with the path of least resistance, and the path of least resistance to get in and out of this property is going to be off of 70. I can't imagine anybody using the access other than somebody that lived on Lower Grassy Branch. I think, just can't imagine somebody, but I understand your concerns.
Yeah. Okay. If there's nothing else, the chair would entertain a motion to approve or deny the application of Mr. Richter to rezone this property to commercial service.
I'd like to make a motion to approve it,
Okay.
being it's consistent with the map amendment, and it's consistent with the Buncombe County Comprehensive Land Use Plan as the Buncombe County Comprehensive Land Use Plan of 2006 update indicates that CS is primarily intended to provide suitable locations for cluster commercial development to encourage concentration of commercial activity in those specified areas with access to major traffic arteries, to discourage strip commercial development and to allow for suitable non-commercial land uses. Buncombe County Comprehensive Land Use Plan 2006 update V11-4. The proposed map amendment would be consistent, reasonable, and in the public interest, as the area directly to the south is comprised of a concentration of commercial activity along a major traffic arterial and is zoned highway business HB by the city of Asheville.
Okay.
I'll second.
Is that you, Josh?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Jim. And we got a second by Josh Holmes. Okay, any further discussion regarding the motion to approve the applicant's request to rezone the property? Okay, having heard none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. Motion carries unanimously. Congratulations, thanks, appreciate it. Okay. The next item on our agenda is, you might recall from our last meeting, Pisgah Legal presented us a concept of either, they wanted to do an overlay, I think, but either creating an overlay or a new zoning district to help facilitate affordable housing within the county. I'd like, John, are you ready to speak to that as to where we are? They were to meet, and try to collaborate together as staff as well as Pisgah Legal to get this thing moving. So if you don't mind updating us.
We met with them. It took a while to arrange a meeting with Tom and May. And after looking, I guess, their proposal, there was a number of issues that were wrong with it. We cannot do an overlay. Simply, the general statutes won't allow us to do that, which really complicates matters. They talked about Dare County. We went back and looked at Dare County's ordinance again, and it doesn't use an overlay. But I think that what we proposed was that while we're getting ready to do the land use plan, that we look at this issue. In fact, we met with the consultant last week, sat down and bounce a few things around. I think it's going to take some time to do this. And at that point, is there anything you want to say? I mean, just as far as the...
Not right now. I mean,
Okay.
it will take time to develop and make sure we keep it within the confines of the general statute, but they open the door a little bit too wide than the statute would allow.
So, I mean, there are some issues. I think if you look at Swannanoa, there's a lot of R1 and trying to increase density. Like I said, I think there's some areas that we can look at. I think that when we look at address corridor and some things that we'd like to see, changes in the land use plan, I think we can come up with some ideas. But like I say, I told them that I'd really like to incorporate it when we do the land use plan. So that's pretty much where we are. I told them that we keep them up to date as we kind of progress along and talk to the planning board and bounce some ideas off of y'all.
Okay. Anyone have any questions regarding that? I think that's what we've got to do. We've got to let John and legal staff take the lead on this. It appears that you legally couldn't do an overlay anyway, which is what I think they proposed. So I think the idea's got a lot of merit. There's certainly a need for it and that type of thing. So I would encourage staff to continue to work with them and move this thing forward. Well, when we start on the land use plan review that's pending for too long. Okay, the next item on the agenda is public comment. Do we have anybody who wants to make a public comment? No public comment. Okay, we'll close the public comment session. All right, I appreciate it. I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion. All right, have we got a second? Second, yeah. Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. We'll see you maybe in a couple of weeks. Is that right? Do we know if we have anything on the agenda? Okay, all right, good. Sounds good.